I'm Deborah Hartman-Preuss, and I'm in Stoos, Switzerland, with Rod Collins. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Rod.
Well, Deb, I'm the owner of Wiki Management, which is a small consulting firm in Denver, Colorado. I work with business leaders to help them master escalating complexity in our fast-changing times. I'm also the former Chief Operating Executive of the Blue Cross Blue Shield Federal Employee Program, which was a large business alliance, where while I was there, I learned a different way of management that helped us make a leap to extraordinary performance. And so in my work now, I share with companies some of the principles and practices that we used back then to make this leap.
Tell me what happened at Stoos.
Stoos was a fabulous event. There were 21 practitioners, managers, thought leaders, consultants got together who all shared the same passion that management needs to be redesigned for the 21st century. The days of using a 19th century management model, which is what traditional management is, are just not succeeding in terms of handling the issues that we face in this early 21st century. And so all of these individuals have different and diverse experiences in managing in a different way. And in working with either their businesses or their clients, they are using alternative management disciplines to really create an extraordinary performance. This is one of the most interesting meetings I think I've been a part of as far as business meetings go, because this wasn't your usual keynotes and breakouts. This was all of the individuals getting together, working in a collective fashion using innovative meeting technology, in which we were able to outline steps of action that we can iterate on, hopefully to affect a movement.
How will that happen?
Well, I'm not quite sure that we're the ones who have the solutions. I think what we're recognizing is we need to be catalysts to work with the business leaders so they can better come up with the solutions for their companies in these unique times that we're in right now. Let me give you a good example. Traditionally, I think that management has been about solving problems, and for a long time that has worked. This group deliberately did not set out to solve a problem. What we're recognizing is more and more the business issues are not problems, they're messes. And what I mean by that, it's several issues that have to be handled simultaneously because we live in faster, more complex times. And this group that gathered recognized that this is the context in which we have to work. And so, much like management, we have to address what are the more effective ways in which we can handle messes quickly so that companies can get on track and perform better.
Tell me, for you, what was the most important thing that came out of this meeting?
A discussion that we had earlier today in which we wanted to come up with what is a description of the management model going forward. And what the group came up with is that it is a value-creating learning network of diverse individuals. And that's very, very different from the picture of the top-down hierarchy. And I think in that short concept, it really encapsulates what organizations need to do going forward. One, they must recognize their networks, and you lead networks different from hierarchies. Two, they must always be focused on the fact they're creating value for customers. And I think there was this sense among the group that the pathway to creating shareholder value is not a direct path. You don't get there unless you create values for customers. Because if you don't have any customers, you're not going to have any shareholders. And there was a sense of this. What we have to do is we have to learn. We can't necessarily look to best practices that somebody else does. We have to create our own unique practices. And in order to do that, you have to tap into the full diversity of the entire organization, not just the people who are in the executive suites. What we're learning more and more is that diversity trumps ability when you have the ability to tap into people's collective intelligence. And so this is a very, very different paradigm from the way we worked before. One last comment with respect to a network of independent individuals or diverse individuals. I would suggest that the most untapped resource in almost every company is the collective intelligence of its own people. What organizations lack are the processes to tap into it, and what we did in these 2 days was we worked in the context of different processes that if brought into organizations will get them in touch with this unique asset. And what's amazing, Deb, is this asset is fully paid for. And when it's not used, you're leaving money on the table.
What do you mean?
Well, you're paying the salaries of all these people, and you're only collecting about maybe a third of what they have to contribute to the company, and that is performing their individual tasks. Left on the table is all this intelligence that all these employees have, that if you have the processes to gather that collective intelligence, it is the deepest insight that you need to go forward in this complex and faster world. Now, to give you an example of how this operates, let me draw an analogy, something that happened this summer. All right? There was a molecular biological problem in AIDS research that was stumping all the experts, their best computers, working traditionally, and they couldn't solve it. And somebody got the bright idea, let's create an online game, put the molecular problem out there, and see what happens. And it was open to everybody, not just the PhD experts, but online gamers. Well, in 3 weeks, they solved the problem. The scientific community discovered how to have a process to get access to collective intelligence. I bet the pharmaceutical companies are looking at what happened this past summer and saying, wait a minute, can we cut 10 years of work into 3 weeks? And if this is transferable to them, and they come up with processes to tap into collective intelligence, think of the asset value that that would have to them. That's what I mean by leaving money on the table.
You said something to me yesterday about the changing role of leadership to get that scenario.
That's right, and that's an important point, and I think something that came up through our discussions here. When you lead a network as opposed to a hierarchy, the role of the leader shifts significantly because you're no longer the boss. You're now the facilitator. In the old way of managing, we made organizations smart by leveraging the individual intelligence of the smartest individuals. And at the beginning of the 20th century, the smartest individuals probably were the executives because most workers had less than an 8th grade education. So the theory is I make the whole organization smart by letting the smartest people command and control the work. Well, here we are in the 21st century. Typical worker is a knowledge worker, highly educated. The problems are not problems, they're messes, they're complex. So the smartest organizations today are those who have the ability to leverage collective intelligence, which is what a network does. And so rather than the leader being the one who gives the directions or has the answers, the leader's role now is to tap into our collective intelligence so that we can discover the best direction and come up with the best answers. And so leaders today hold a container in which that happens as opposed to commanding the line to get work done there.
What's next for you?
For Stoos, it'll be a gathering sometime in the spring, somewhere on either side of the Atlantic Ocean, to be determined.
To be announced.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think we leave here thinking a lot of the important questions, and I think that the second iteration will be focused on now what can we do to really move this forward. I think too it gives an opportunity for the people who have been here to interface with the various communities online who have been tracking with the work here and to integrate with their voices and have conversations with them in whatever way that works. And I think with the questions in mind and with these conversations, it positions this group when it comes back together to more fully address how do you get this management thinking into practice in the 21st century organizations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.